joining me this morning. Good morning. Grab your coffee. Welcome to Brewing Happiness. We're a little out of sync here. Well, that's okay because this show starts a new chapter, I guess, in Brewing Happiness. I've been feeling like my show is just too scripted. I really like to know what I'm going to say. And so as I sit down and do my research and write my outline, instead of just putting bullet points, I just tend to start writing in sentences and then I end up reading it, right? And that's not what we want the show. Tell people to start watching at 4 minutes. What happens at 4 minutes? What's happening? I know. Well, that's a great thing because the notifications don't go out right, and I'm left with deciding whether I should just like kill time, drink coffee, look cute and adorable until I thought it was a 2 minute mark, but 4 minutes. What happens at 4 minutes? Anyway, what I'm going to be trying to do is step back from the scripting of the show, truly make some bullet points. Not that I won't do my research. I mean, we do not want to do without facts and figures, right? With our statistics, that's our favorite part of the show, data. But stepping back to speak extemporaneously and using bullet points instead of a script, because this is supposed to be a conversation. The whole point of a live, when your show starts over. Oh, right, started at 4 minutes. Okay. Anyway. This show's supposed to be a conversation, right? Grab a cup of coffee. We're going to have a conversation about, well, something. My topic is happiness, so I feel like any topic in the world, any subject I decide to talk on in the world, we can find a path back to happiness, right? And that's what I want the show to be, more like a conversation than like me reading a script. So we're going to try to start it with a little more extemporaneous speaking, and that's the way we're doing this. So, I started to ask myself, why am I doing this? Why do I get up incredibly early every morning, shower, put on my face, get ready, sit down in front of the camera here and start spouting off about some topic that I feel like talking about, right? Why am I compelled to mind my life for interesting points or interesting questions that I have, go out and do the research, come back here and talk about it with you? It's a big question, right? And it kind of links, I think, to our topic today, which is your big why. The big why in your life. What is the big why that drives you? And this has become very popular since Simon Sinek. I'm not sure if you know that. He's a guy on YouTube, and he did a TED Talk on leadership and on the big why and how it impacts leadership. He wrote a book, The Big Why in Leadership. Bestseller, everybody now suddenly talking Simon Sinek. And anyway, Simon, he talked about the big why, about how connecting to something on an emotional level, right? Your purpose, your passion, your reason for doing what you do, your reason for stepping outside your comfort zone, your reason for doing something that you don't really have to do. What is the big why? And it's that big why drive factor that we go back to, right, on days when you do something every day. Some days you feel like doing it more than others. Some days it's exciting and can't wait to get in front of the camera. Some days, it's kind of like, this is my job. I'm going to do it. I committed to do it. I'm going to be here. And the big why is how you do that, right? We talked about willpower yesterday. We talk about motivation. And in any one of those discussions, it comes to your big why. Why are you doing this? And sometimes we don't even understand it. That's okay. That's the whole point, is to think about this and ask ourselves some questions. When you plug in emotionally, when you plug into something that's bigger than you are, right? And sometimes this is not connected to one single thing, not your career, not your hobbies, not your cause. Maybe it actually flows across all areas of your life. So we're not talking about a wish. We're not even talking about a goal, right? The Japanese call it ikagi. And that's the intersection of what you love, what you're really great at, and what the world needs. and hopefully what the world will pay you for, right? If you want to make a living doing from your passion, from doing what you love. And sometimes it's not your job yet, but that's our goal. But it is your sole purpose, right? I think of it like a personal mission statement. Since I was a very young child, I always had this personal mission statement to leave everybody I met a little happier than before I talked to them. I don't know where it came from. It's just been there in me my whole life, and that evolved into this compulsion to, like I said, mind my life, look for lessons, look for interesting questions, look for the things I want to know, and then research the answers, and then come here and talk about that thing with all of you. Why am I compelled to do this? It's difficult. Gosh knows I don't have to do it, right? There's nothing forcing me to do it. The benefits are purely personal. I love it, so I'm doing it, but I'm hopefully it's bringing some value to the world. It's bringing some value to you, the watchers. But I keep asking myself, is this my sole purpose? Is this my sole purpose? Is this my big why? Why do I do this? So that's the question we're asking today is what's your big why? Do you have one? And do you need one? Right? Does everybody need a big why? Simon Sinek says thinking, acting, and communicating your big why is what makes leaders great. Okay. But trying to find it out can be hard, right? How do you find out your big why? How do you figure it out? Well, the thing is, the big why we do what we do, why we have purpose in life, what our purpose in life is not something you think your way to, right? You're going to use thinking to get yourself to it. But it's really about how you feel. It's really about down deep in your soul. For me, I can't imagine not doing this. My big why is because I realized early on that my talent in life, the one thing I do well is speak, right? There's a lot of things I don't do that great, but I am pretty good at putting ideas together and speaking. I have a talent that I've been aware of for taking complex, big ideas and distilling them down into bite-sized chunks of understandable information. But why I feel compelled to show up here and bring that to the table every day is the big mystery, right? So how do you find it? You start by writing down your purpose. What is your mission? I started with I want to leave everyone happier than when I meet them. But then it's gotten bigger than that, right? As I realize, as I look at my own life and the journey I've made and the travel from thinking I was happy, living a life, doing all the things I was supposed to do in life and thinking that was happy, and then realizing, not really that happy, and then making changes using my true happiness as the barometer, making changes to create a life that is directed by happiness. That along the way, because I am an engineer brain and because I do think in terms of how to processes, right? Step-by-step instructions. I started thinking about that when happiness. I started applying what I learned about quality engineering, about process improvement to our daily lives, and found out that the tools I used in business and manufacturing, I used to say all the time, the problem doesn't matter, the process is the same. And so the process of problem solving, whether you're solving the problem of decreasing the defects or improving the number of widgets off the line, or you're solving the problem of how getting more happiness in your life, how to live a life that's more dedicated to the things that are important to you and that make your heart sing. Well, it was the same process, right? It was the same process of understanding what it is you want, how much of it you have right now, where do you get it, and how do you get more of those things and eliminate those things that are working against you. So I know when I'm talking about it, how I feel. I know that I'm I'm using I a lot today, but I know when I talk about these things, it fills me with excitement. It makes my heart sing. It makes me, so I started thinking about what's my big why? Why do I do this? Why am I on this path to create this show? And of course, not just create the show, but I'd like to see it grow. I'd like to see my audience grow. I'd like to see my viewership and my impact and my ability to touch people. I'd like to see that grow. Why am I compelled to do this? I ask myself over and over again. We're gonna work our way through that. But one of the ways you do this is you write down what you think your purpose is, and then feel it in your soul. Does it feel right? Do you feel like you simply cannot do it, or cannot not do it? Right? Is there something driving you that says, this is what I'm meant to do, and I don't know how to not follow this path? That's how you know that's your soul purpose, right? Again, it's not something you think about, it's something you feel. But how do you confirm it? Well, actually, it's not something you're ever going to figure out just by thinking about. It's not actually anything you're ever going to know in your head, because until you put it into action, it's just a good idea, right? Just something you think is going to make you happy. Until you actually put it out there, see how it goes, how you like doing it, how it's received. How did you feel about doing it? Until that, how do you know if that's your purpose? This is the path to find out. And if you don't know what it is, and you're looking for some help now see, I've been through I'm old. I've had a long path in the journey, and I've come to this conclusion of what my purpose, my passion, my soul calling is. But I didn't always know. How do you get there? How do you figure it out, right? You put it out there, ask yourself some questions. Maybe you start by asking yourself some questions. What have you done that was fulfilling, that filled you up and made you feel like, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be, right? What makes time stand still for you? What are you doing when 2 hours goes by and you look up and it feels like 10 minutes, and you look up and it's been 2 hours? Where did time go, right? You're so absorbed in that moment. You're in the zone. You're in the flow. That's a good indication that your heart, your passion, and your purpose and your actions are all aligned, right? When were you your best self in your life? When do you feel like that situation really brought out my best self? These are questions to ask ourselves to find our big why, right? And then the other path to look at is the opposite. What ticks you off? What breaks your heart? What do you know could be different out there, and that you could have an impact in making it different? So these are the questions we ask ourselves. And then the hard work begins. Oh, you thought that was the hard work? No. Then the hard work begins, because then the next part is back to the 5 why drill down. Then we start asking ourselves, why? Why do I feel? Here's my little path that I started down. Why do I feel compelled to bring happiness information to the table? All right, whether it's writing poetry or showing up live here or getting up on the stage and speaking. I always know if there's 400 people in the room and one guy on the stage, I want to be the guy on the stage. I don't know why. It's always been that way since I was a small child. In grade school, I started in 4th grade. I started a little process in my 4th grade class where we all got up and did small performances when we came back from lunch. Our teacher gave us 15 minutes. Anybody could get up and read a poem, sing a song, act out a skit. We did it because I felt the need to perform, and I asked if I could, and pretty soon it became part of our daily routine. So this isn't something new for me, right? Why do I feel compelled? That's the question. Now that I've told you how compelled I am, why do I feel compelled? Because I feel like I need to share what I know. I feel like as I learn things and know them, I need to share them. It's my job. It's my calling to share what I know about how to live a happier life. Again, I have a gift for explaining. I have a gift for taking ideas that seem big and put them in a way. My mom used to say, don't break your arm, patting yourself on the back as you tell yourself how great you are. But if I'm looking for what's my talent, honestly, the only thing I really do well is put words together. So here I am doing that. Might as well be doing it for a purpose, right? But why? Anyway, I have a gift for explaining, reducing the complex to the simple, and I want to use that force for good, right? Use the force for good. I want to use that power and use it to help other people to find happiness. Why? Why? Because I hate to think of folks stuck in unhappiness when I know that just a few subtle shifts in perspective, when I know that adopting an attitude of gratitude and being grateful for what's in our lives right now and being present in the moment and knowing that you have the option to change anything you want at any time in your life. Anyway, I want that for everyone. I want everyone to know that. I want everyone to be confident in their happiness as I am. Why? Why do I want to do that? Because I know the power of living in happiness, right? I know that happiness is infectious, that you don't have to try to give away happiness, right? That by living a life of joy, this is a statement, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but my statement, living joy is giving joy. When you're living in joy, you are sending off, it's exponential, right? Little sparks of joy are flying off around you, and they are hitting other people and impacting those other people, and you're not doing anything but living a happy life, right? Showing up happy, showing up with a smile on your face, positively reinforcing what's going on around you. You're lifting the spirits of everyone around you. You have become what I like to call a happiness ambassador, right? Why do I feel the need to make everyone into a happiness ambassador? Why? Because it's the path to a happier world. The path to a happier world is for each of us to be personally so happy that happiness is spread all around us. And of course, it's an impossible task. We're not going to turn the whole world happy. And frankly, it's unrealistic to believe that we are all going to be happy every moment of our lives, right? We know happiness is one state in the many states we go throughout the day, and a lot of life. Oh, back to Dr. Scott Peck, right? Life is difficult. There's a lot of moments in it that aren't making us happy, aren't taking us where we want to go. But how are you happy in spite of that, or in the midst of that? I know that's the path to a happier world, and that creating happiness ambassadors by raising your happiness awareness. I know that if I can talk about it enough to make you think about it, once you think about it and you realize the choices are yours to make, and that there are some proven and scientific things you can do to be happier, that I know that as you become more aware of your happiness, you start implementing and bringing things into your life to ensure that you are on a happiness path and that your life is unfolding the way that you want it to. I know that you inadvertently, because this is the nature of happiness, become that happiness ambassador. And I know that butterfly effect, that if I can speak to one of you and have you go out with a happy attitude and smile at all the people you meet during the day, or you're on a Zoom with during the day, if it gives you a tool to find yourself in a funk and say, oh, I remember what Tina said, here are some steps I can take to move out of that funk and move into a better mood, move into a better outlook. Or maybe I'm just going to enjoy my funk for a while. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I feel like if I can have that impact, and then you take that and you impact somebody, and then the butterfly effect, right? The results of your actions, you may never, ever, ever see them. And that's my hope, right? That's my dream in life, is that the things I'm not seeing, the things I'm saying are impacting you. And then you're touching other people, and it's spreading out around us. Stop it. I can't help it. It makes me cry. That's how connected I am to this idea. That the idea of talking about it, it's my self-assigned mission, creating happiness ambassadors who don't even know that they are happiness ambassadors, but raising the happiness level of those around me so that they in turn can raise the happiness level of those around them. Okay. Oh my God, I didn't bring a tissue. Oh yeah, I did. I did actually bring a tissue. Anyway, that's my mission. I know it's the path to a happier world. I can't imagine not doing this. So, that's my big why. What makes your heart sing? What makes time stand still? What are your strengths? What are your skills? What are your innate talents? Where can you add the greatest value? And then the best question that I've come across, I think the best question I've come across is, how will you measure your life? Right? At the end of your life, how will you measure your life as a success? Will you measure it in the number of smiles or the number of dollars, right? The number of hugs or the number of cars? You get to pick. But what does Stephen Covey say? Begin with the end in mind. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to think of when they think about you? Okay, stop it. Okay, so having a purpose in life is one of the pillars of happiness. And according to somebody, and I didn't write down the source, so my apologies, the 5 pillars of happiness are confidence and self-love. We talk about that a lot here, right? Meaning and purpose, the big why. Positivity and optimism, managing your thoughts so that they don't manage you. Physical and mental health. Well, freedom and independence. I like these 5 pillars of happiness. I think I talk about these things all the time. So, lastly, in a study about living purposefully and living longer, I'm reading this just so you know I did not write this. The most prominent and well-referenced, this came from a blog called Tracking Happiness. So this is and I don't remember the author's name, but this is who I'm reading her words. The most prominent and well-referenced study that I stumbled upon is very interesting. This study was conducted by Randy Cohen, Kirag Baviji, and Ellen Rozansky, and was published at the end of 2015. As a part of the study, over 136,000 people were evaluated for 7 years. The average age at the start of the study was 67 years old, and as the people in the subject passed away or faced health issues, the researchers found an interesting piece of data. This is a long-term study with a lot of people at the end of their lives, right? The analysis showed a lower risk of death for participants with a high sense of purpose in life. After adjusting for other factors such as other factors, okay, so it's called normalizing the data, so you're taking out the smokers and blah, blah, blah. Mortality was about 1/5 lower for participants reporting a strong sense of purpose. So you can't go through the day without a fact, right? We don't do this show without bringing some study to the table. Anyway, that's the show for today. What's your big why? Think about it. Write it down. Start acting on it. Does it feel right? Do you feel like, oh my God, I can't live without this? You know you're on the right path. Do you feel, try something else. It's okay. You don't have to know it right away. Most of us if you're lucky to know your life purpose when you're a young person, you are the exception and not the rule. Most of us, it takes a long time of trial and error, right? Trying on styles, trying on lifestyles, trying on purposes, trying on missions, trying on causes, until we find one that is so incredibly important to us that it becomes part of the fabric of who we are. So that's the show for today. It says this is a test. It turned out not to be a test. Don't know why we had those troubles in the beginning, but I'd love it if you'd leave me a comment of what you thought about today's show. Love it if I'm not supposed to ask, but I'm doing it anyway. Give me a like, share it with your friends if you think it's a message they might like to, that they might enjoy. because I'm committed, and like I said, I have a compulsion, and honestly at this point I don't know how not to do this. So I'd love to know what you think. That's it for today. Make it a happy day. You can still leave a comment.